Sleepy Hollow, one of the biggest proponents of forced perspective sets, soundstage shooting, and scaled miniatures is, of course, Tim Burton, who uses them extensively in all of his films. He has such a wonderful style to all his films. If you're not familiar with Tim Burton, of course, not only Sleepy Hollow, shown here, but Edward Scissorhands and just a whole line of incredible films. You should definitely check him out. Burton is a throwback himself. He loves old-fashioned movie making, stop motion. He loves the grim fairy tales and the old Hammer horror films that exuded that wonderful sense of artificiality and surrealism in his movies. And through the main town of Sleepy Hollow, which of course tells the story of the legend of the Headless Horseman with Ichabod Crane, made famous from the book by Washington Irving. The main town, the church, and the covered bridge were all built outside of England. So this is a real set that they built. And of course, most of it's just facades. You know, you only need to build what the camera is going to see. That rule pretty much not only applies to anything you're building on set, but it also applies to 3D animation as well. Never build or never model or never texture or anything that the camera's not going to see. Obviously, it's just a waste of time. And that's why animatics and layout are so important. But Sleepy Hollow utilized one of the largest sound stages in the world for the Western Woods. The Western Woods played a very large role in this movie. And as you can see, these shots here, these are not outside. These are all sound stages. Burton's film requires a lot of atmosphere, a lot of fog. And if any of you ever had the chance to shoot outside, you're pretty much at the mercy of the sun and the clouds and the wind, oftentimes noise. And shooting on set with large trees up front, smaller trees placed in back, hence forced perspective, will give you that fake atmospheric perspective and allows more art direction for what the woods would actually feel like. It's really no use trying to go out and find something out there, because even if you found a location that was just absolutely perfect, upstate New York or otherwise, where this is taking place, you're again at the mercy of the weather. And if you shot a scene like this, of course, outside, and the weather was perfect, and the clouds were perfect, and the sun was perfect, well, guess what? In an hour, the light has changed, or the next day, good luck matching that up. So that's why Tim Burton really loves his soundstage shooting, because it's so controlled, and he allows you to do the forced perspective all over the place. There was a shot in here of the windmill. The windmills, they can be what we call hanging perspectives, hanging shots. We could talk about that in a little bit too. But I'm going to show you a clip now of some fantastic forced perspective all put together. And while you're analyzing this clip from Sleepy Hollow, I want you to analyze just how far deep the set actually looks. And it's an interesting tell in that when the Headless Horseman does finally appear, and he comes racing through the woods to attack our hero and his friend, the horse, you'll notice, actually is turning into the path before racing towards the camera. And the reason for that is because the horseman is literally up against the wall of the soundstage. The soundstage just wasn't big enough to have a vanishing point where the horseman is racing up to. So you'll see him turn into, the camera angle because it was limited in space, even though the space was huge. Take a look at Sleepy Hollow.
What are you running from, Magistrate Phillips?
Damn you, Crane.
You would a mind to help me?
Yes, and it's put me in mortal dread of...
Of what?
Of powers against which there is no defense. Come.
How did you know the Widow Winship was expecting a child?
She told me.
Then I deduce you are the father.
I'm not the father.
Did she tell you the name of the child's father?
Yes, she did. She came to me for advice as town magistrate to protect the rights of her child. I was bound by my oath of office to keep the secret, but...
You believe the father killed her?
The horseman killed her.
How often do I have to tell you there is no horseman? There never was a horseman. There never will be a horseman. What is that thing?
My talisman, it protects me from the horseman.
You, a magistrate, and your head full of such nonsense. Now tell me the name of...
Oh my God!